Are you a salesperson or an order taker? Watch this video and find out. Hey everybody, Francisco Lopez here, or as my friends call me, Pancho. I am putting together this video. It's a video that I've been wanting to do for a very long time because it's one of my favorite stories that have to do with sales, and it clearly illustrates something that's very, very, very important for you to be aware of if you're in the sales industry, which is, are you a salesperson or an order taker? There's a huge difference between being a professional and somebody that's just in for a whim and just seeing what everybody wants and just writing notes. If you're going to be an order taker, the best place to go is places like McDonald's or Pizza Hut or places like that you just wait. People have a menu, they tell you what they want, write it down, put it in, charge them, and be gone with it, right? A lot of businesses in the sales industry have gone from being ran by professional salespeople and into an order-taking business. For example, if you remember years ago, there was Circuit City. I remember going to Circuit City to buy a camcorder shortly after we got married. This was like almost 16 years ago. And the sales guy that I talked to was super freaking knowledgeable. This guy knew everything there was to know about this camcorder that I was interested in purchasing. It was at the time $800 for this stupid little camcorder, the High 8. We still watch videos in it at home, which is pretty cool that we had it at the time, but this guy knew everything. Years later, Circuit City went bankrupt because Best Buy came along and they started hiring young kids that had no knowledge, but they were getting salaries of like 12 bucks an hour, 10 bucks an hour just to sit there and take orders, and they would do price matching and this and that. And then the internet came along and it just kind of ruined that nice thing about it. I feel that the car industry is kind of going in the same direction. So we'll see, we'll see how that goes. Me personally, as you know, I am passionate about sales. I consider sales an art form, and I think that there's always going to be a place for professional salespeople like myself and others like you that are watching this video. The business world revolves around sales. I'm going to make another video talking about specifically that later on down the road. So this story, like I said, I've been wanting to share it for a very long time. It is something that I learned when I was about 15 years old on a sales trip with my pops. So at the time, my dad owned a company that would distribute wholesale hardware. So tools, hammers and screwdrivers and drills and drill bits and anything you can think of that has to do with hardware. Imagine like to all the little mini Home Depots that are in Mexico, they have what's called ferreterias, and these are all hardware supply stores that are small mom and pop type stores that sell to the general public. So we would purchase these things wholesale from LA, import them from China, take them to Mexico, and sometimes we'd rebrand our own and then sell them, correct? But this was a super cool thing that happened. So there was a few sales routes on this company. There was the ones that would cover the Mexicali area, which is east of San Diego, but in the Mexican border side. And then there was Tijuana, which was obviously the biggest because it had the most market area. I believe there was like 3 salespeople there, 2 salespeople for the Mexicali area. And then there was the South Baja area, which is San Quintin, Ensenada, Rosarito, and that area was covered by my dad. And I would always ask him, I'm like, why do you do this? I mean, you have employees, you have salespeople, why do you have to go on these sales trips yourself? He enjoyed it. He loved it. I think he loved more than anything, I think he loved the food. There's incredible food down in San Quintin. They have these clam soups that are just freaking to die for. There's a restaurant called Cielito Lindo where they sell crab claws that are like in an adobo type sauce, cracked while they're being cooked, so the juices kind of go in there. Oh my God, my mouth is watering right now. Incredible. So I think that that's why my dad loved going on this sales trip himself. So sometimes he would take me on these trips himself. He would say like, hey, you know what? You're off from school, you don't have class right now, or whatever the case may be, come with me. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great bonding time for me and him, and we had a chance to chat a lot about life and things like that. He taught me a lot of valuable lessons. This particular day, was one of the best lessons I ever learned, because it's something that I've always kept in the back of my mind whenever I'm working in any type of sale transaction. When I went into car business, I would always think about this, and when I got into real estate, it was always something that I would think about. So here it is. We were headed over, like I said, it's his normal route down in South Baja, and we're driving along, and we go through this dirt road because some of these ferreterias, hardware stores that we would go visit, were in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is a little tiny spot, right? So we go through this little dirt windy road to get to this place, and as he's parking in front of this hardware store, this Volkswagen Bug that had the logo to our competitor stamped on the door with a salesperson pulls up next to us. So we got there first, but this guy drives in, sees us, jumps out of the car, and beats us to the punch. You know, and I was like, shit. And me being 15 years old at the time, I was like, Dad, we gotta go. Like, I wanted to beat this guy. I wanted to get out of the car and just jump in front of him and not let him get there before us, because I thought it was unfair. I was like, shit, we got here first, and this guy jumps out of the car, and it's kind of disrespectful and not morally or ethically correct, right? But my dad just held me. He's like, hold on, just let him go. And I'm like, no, but he's gonna take the orders, and then what are we gonna sell him if this guy's gonna take the orders for whatever this guy needs, right? The hardware store. So he's like, just relax, don't worry about it. So we waited in the car for probably, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes max. 15, 20 minutes is what we were in the car, just waiting, you know, sitting down in the AC, chit-chatting or whatever. Didn't say anything in particular that I can recall. And then the sales guy comes out with a big grin on his face that pissed me off. I was like, son of a bitch, you know, because in my mind, we had lost. He walks out, big grin on his face, gets into his Volkswagen Bug, and takes off. So my dad's like, okay, let's go. You know, this guy's gone. Let's go talk to the owner. And I'm like, Dad, what are we gonna sell this guy? He already bought everything that he needed. He's like, don't worry, just come with me. So I'm like, okay. So we get out of the car, we go up to the counter for this hardware store. There's the owner standing right there. And he tells my dad, oh, güero. My dad's blonde, green eyes. When he gets pissed off, he turns pink. And he and he says, oh, güero, which means like, hey, blonde or whatever. Sorry, you're too late. I already placed my order for everything that I needed this week or this 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. You know, I already placed everything, the order that I needed. And my dad's like, yeah, you know what? I saw him leaving. I figured you would, but I still wanted to stop in and say hi. Oh, okay, cool. So he shook his hand or whatever. He said, and also, since I'm here, let me show you something that this guy doesn't carry that I want to, it's a new product for us, and I think you would benefit from it. So he pulls out a cardboard box that he would always carry around, right? And this cardboard box had a few things in it. In this particular case, it had a small axe, maybe like a 12-inch axe that was, you know, small little axe, you know, with a little thing. Made in China. Frankly, a piece of shit. Like, it was just a crappy little axe. And he pulls out this axe and he says, check out this new axe that we just got in. I picked up a bunch of them. I have a great price on it. Let me show you. He starts showing the owner this axe. He presented this axe in such a way that it made that axe seem like it was the ultimate. It was the 8th wonder of the world. Oh, look at the lacquer finish on the wood. Look at how it has two, I remember this so clearly. Look at how it has 2 springs inside this to expand the wood more so that it's more solid instead of normally these axes had 1. So he pointed out that it had 2 of like these metal divots or whatever, I don't know what they're called, that they put in there so that it expands the wood so that it's nice and tighter, and hopefully because of it lasts longer. It's like, this axe is gonna last longer. It's better for outdoor use because it's got a very good lacquer finish. Look at how sharp it is. Plus it can be resharpened and this and that and da. Next thing you know, the guy's like, okay, you know, give me a dozen of those. Okay, cool. So my dad pulls out an order form and puts in 12 axes. That's already a win. He already got something that the other guy didn't get, right? So he goes in there like this. He says, hey, I'm also noticing that you're missing such and such thing. Did you make sure to, I think it was like locks, combination locks. He realized that there was only like 1 combination lock on the shelf. And I was like, did you already order those from him? Because you said you already ordered, but I'm seeing that you only have 1 left, or do you have more in the back? And the guy's like, you're right. Yes, I didn't order any of those from him. Yeah. Can you put it down? So he goes and puts down another dozen or 2 dozen of combination locks. So he puts that down. And then he busts out a binder. This binder was our entire inventory. Every single thing that we carry in the company, he had in this binder. So he pulls out, and it was a cool binder. It was built by him, that it had pictures of everything and the item code, the name, and the price. So he puts out this binder and starts going page by page with the owner of this place, right? Page by page, he goes through like it was one of those 2-inch binders and just goes boom, one after the other. And it was funny, I remember seeing this, and I remember seeing this not only from this guy, but in every other place we ever visited, the owners or the people that were there at the front of the store would continually like want to speed through it and like kind of wade through the pages. And my dad would always, just as he's talking, he would always go back to the page 1 or the page 2, wherever he had left off, and go over it again, one by one, every single person that we would visit. At the end of the day, after he got done showing his entire binder to this guy, and keep in mind, whenever somebody would walk in, my dad would immediately say, "Oh, go help him," and he'd step aside and just stand there, very patiently waiting for the owner to attend their clients or whatever. Then he'd come back, have another conversation with them again, and keep going. I remember me being 15 years old and my legs hurting from standing up so long at each and every one of these places. They would literally like be on fire for just sitting there. We go through the whole thing. At the end of the day, we walk out of this shop, and he had 2 full, complete pages of orders. And then, like, it was incredible to me. It was like mind-blowing. I was like, how did he do this? You know, and as we're walking back to the car, and I'm super excited and I'm happy because I knew it was a mega win. We sit down inside the car, turn on the AC, start driving off, and I wasn't saying anything. I didn't know. I was still kind of processing everything. And as we're driving away, he says, "Son, that is the difference between an order taker and a salesperson." And I was like, holy crap. And it just stuck in my mind. And as the years have gone by, I have seen how all of that happened in that place was exactly right. The sales process that he went to was exactly. So in the sales cycle, you have your introduction, which is your meet and greet. You kind of get to know somebody. Maybe it's the first time you're meeting them. Maybe you've seen them before, but you come in, you introduce yourself, you shake hands, you go through that process. Then you have a consultation. You're like, hey, what are you missing? What is it you need? What is it that is very important for you to achieve in the next, if you're selling a service, or you always want to have a proper consultation. Then you have your presentation and demo, and he did that with that stupid little axe, right? He has a presentation, and everything that he would go through this binder he'd illustrate it in such a way, without even having the item there, that it would make it seem like it was the greatest thing. And some of them were. We had good product, we had good quality stuff, but a lot of it was made in China. It wasn't like we weren't selling any Craftsman stuff or Snap-on or anything like that. No, we were selling like Chinese stuff, but it was very valuable because it was so cheap. Then you go into negotiations. You know, in this case, it was all pretty much set in stone what the prices were or whatever. But in a few instances, I remember him saying, you know what, buy 2 dozen, I'll discount it 10%. Buy this, buy a little bit more volume, and I'll give you this one. So there's a little bit of negotiation here and there. Then you go for the close. Hey, you're missing this. What about this? And if I can do this, if I can do this, would you buy this? You know, things of that. So you have a little bit of a closing technique going on. And then the delivery. This is something also important that happened. As we drove away, I remember this is back 1996. So we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have access to the internet like we do nowadays or whatever. But he would go into this old rinky-dink town and find a papeleria or a place like an Office Depot type place, but obviously it wasn't an Office Depot, it was like a small hole-in-the-wall type place that they had a fax machine. And he would immediately fax in these orders so that they would deliver them the next day. Whereas all the other salespeople from all the other companies would not do that. They would hold on to them, finish their sales trip for the 2 or 3 days that they were out there, go back, then turn it in, and then deliver it. So even though they would take orders before us, we would deliver faster. Who made the better impression? Who do you think these people would call in the future to deliver something else? When they were short on something, they would call us. This town that he would visit, San Quintin and Ensenada, tiny places compared to the big metropolis, I guess you could call, of Tijuana or Tecate and Mexicali and all that stuff. You know, this place was so much smaller. The market share should have been so much less. Yet my dad, in these areas, because of his sales strategies and the way he presented everything and with so much enthusiasm, he outproduced all the other 6 salespeople that we had in all the other areas. He sold more by himself in that little town than 6 other salespeople everywhere else. And it was really challenging for him. I remember him getting really frustrated because he would teach these things to them. He would take them on routes with him. He would go with them and show them how to do it, and they never did. It's one of those things that you have to really want it. You have to really know that in order to succeed in sales at a high level, you really have to be a professional. You always have to be enthusiastic. You have to know your product. You have to have a solid presentation. So anyways, that's my story. I want to keep this under 20 minutes. I think I'm going to be able to do that. I hope you enjoyed it. To me, like I said, it's one of the favorite stories I've ever told when it comes to sales. It's one of the best things I've ever experienced. It taught me a super valuable lesson that has been very, very valuable to me throughout my entire sales career. So hopefully you enjoyed the story. If you did, please share it, send it to friends, family, whoever you think that might be struggling in a sales career, or just to show off that you do the same thing and that you know how to do this type of stuff. Let them know, like, hey, this is the way I operate my sales career. Or if you are not and you're in sales, maybe consider tweaking that a little bit. Figure out in your industry how it is and what it is that you need to do to tweak your presentations, to tweak your energy levels, to tweak whatever it is that you need to tweak to be able to get this kind of a result, so that you don't care what your competition does, so that it doesn't matter if they get there before you, because at the end of the day, you know that you're going to be able to grasp more market share because you're a professional, because you know how to have a proper consultation, have a solid introduction of yourself, have good negotiating skills, strong closes, which, by the way, I've learned this lesson. If your consultation is very good and your presentation is very strong and it's based on the answers that your clients gave you in your consultation, you don't really need to know how to close. The deals close themselves because people will see the value in it. So that's another subject for another time. I'm going to go over the sales cycle in depth in a few other videos down the road, but I hope you found value in this. And like I said, if you did, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on all the different social media platforms. I'd really appreciate a couple of likes, thumbs up, whatever the case may be, so that we can share this and get more people involved. Alrighty, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace.